Yo, what up, guys? It's QB here with the Chopper Express, and it is good to be back. It's been a while. To be honest, I took a break probably for what, like 2 years now. Mostly just to like kind of just learn the game, man. I think just took the last 2 years to really just hone in on my technical play and my skills, and now kind of just want to take the opportunity to get back to the community and be back. And today, what I want to kind of show you is one of the decks I'm looking forward to with this ban list. I know we're all waiting on it, but I couldn't wait. Kind of wanted to been testing this deck for a little bit. Maybe it's an option coming out, and that is Yellow Kid. So really, what I want to talk about today is why is this one of my options? I know we're all speculating there's gonna be a hit on UP, a hit on possibly GP, and after that we're not really sure. And I think Yellow Kid is in a position where one is getting a couple new cards in OP12 that can be advantageous, and overall it has really good matchups into the new decks, in my opinion, that are coming out in OP12 in Zoro and Rayleigh, just based on how the mechanic of the deck really works. And so what I really want to start with is, I think we all already know, it came out OP10. What the layer ability does is you take, at the end of your turn, set to one of your 3 to 8 cost characters with supernova type active. That character gains blocker until the end of your opponent's next turn. So one, you can be kind of tanky by being able to reset your minions such as Basil Hawkins, Law, Kid, but the new additions that we got through OP 11 and 12, since it's the last time we've seen this deck, we have Zeus, which is going to be your 2K popper. We have the new Law that came out in the event pack this past weekend. And then we're going to have Kuma that's going to be coming out in OP12 as the secret. Just go over what these cards will do. So, Law, he's just a 2K counter. If you really trigger, if you really have supernova type and you and your opponent life total to 5 or less, play this card. So basically it replaces Satori that was in the deck previously. And then the new card, OP12 Kuma, 1K counter, 6 cost 7K. You may trash one card from your hand, add the top card of your deck to your top of your life, and this character gains +2 cost until the end of your opponent's next turn. And then on a KO on your opponent's turn, add the top card of your deck to the top of your life cards. And so these two cards really help with having multiple healers in the deck now, so it's not just dependent on you drawing Law. And that kind of helps a lot when it comes to playing against Rayleigh and Zoro, where those are kind of two more aggressive strategies. And so being able to just continuously heal and make the game last a little bit longer while still pressuring them with big swings helps a lot, actually. So I just will go through the deck list real quickly. We have 3 Capone. This list, I kind of got the inspiration from a list that did well over in the East. They were playing Apu over Capone. I think Counterpower is a little bit stronger, especially at the beginning when we're just playing for Zoro and Rayleigh at this point in time, until we see the actual ban list. It's kind of like how the deck's kind of centered around Luffy for the Searcher, Capone blocker, basically just focuses Tashiki in this deck so that you can protect your bodies. Zeus 2K, X-Drake 2K helps you trade one of the better Supernova 2Ks. Kikunoju, one thing I like about this deck is with Kikunoju, Basil, and Kuma, you can, and Capone, you can kind of work around the Lucci matchup a little bit, because now you have bodies that are advantageous when they get popped, and so you can kind of either extend the game longer than they may want to, and kind of just like hopefully run them out of popping resources at the end of the day. Basil Hawkins, Law that we covered. I'm playing 2 Robin. I know this deck did well in the EU finals. I think I finished like top 8, and they were also playing Robin. I think you kind of need this card for Lucci more than anything else. I think that matchup's one of those where like your 6th on turn matters so much when you're going second, and you need to either play a card that's really hard to out in Kuma, or need to be able to speed the game up, in my opinion, and a card like Nico Robin, where she can help with those matchups where you may not have all the healers in the world, so now you need the game to progress a little bit faster in that area. For Kuma, for Law, 2 Katakuri. This is just a respect for 8 costs Green Kid. Cards are really impressive against this deck. There's not really any outs to it. Depending how Bonnie kind of shapes up into the format and Smoker, I think this card is pretty important. I think at minimum I probably would play one of it, just because you don't want to like play those decks and then just lose because you just don't have a way to play against Kid. I'm only playing 3 of the Burn Kid. I think this card is really strong, but I usually use this as my finisher when I play a lot of times, so It's not really something you need multiples of in the mid game. You really just need the one or two if you need to like summon two and then keep the, and then from there you can just progress the game in that way. 3 Red Hawk. Basically finish 3k. Also, it's just another card that helps out problem cards on your 5-down turn. So if you play against Lucci, I think it really does really good in outing Kuzan, Laboon, those type of cards. And instead of playing a 4th one, I just play one Damn Punked because it's just a searchable out. So your Luffy has access to this card versus playing a 4th copy where you're, yes, mathematically you see this more often, but I think this is also a good trigger in life, being able to filter, and I think that's really helpful. So what I'll do now is go ahead and take a look at 2 games played against Rayleigh and Zoro, and we'll just go through some of my thinking and how the games went. So first off, we'll start with the Zoro matchup. So this is my starting hand. It's pretty good, but I kind of want something a little bit better. I want healers. I'm on second, so I also want like my curve to kind of fill out well. So I decided to go ahead and just play Capone just to kind of challenge. He didn't play the I guess the Bonnie of that deck where it searches, so I just want to still get it out just in case he draws it for turn, just so I can have a way to trade into it, so then my 5 can go at his life instead of going in his face. And so I think the thing in this matchup is you really want to just like kind of start stacking counterpower at the end of the game. So right now I just drew Basil, makes my turn curved out really well, so I'm just gonna go ahead and play Basil. Reason being is that really the Zoro deck doesn't want to trade into Basil. They would rather go straight face most of the time from what I've seen so far. And we're still at the beginning of format, so we're still all figuring this out. So we don't actually know what the correct replacers are yet, but I think this kind of says, hey, if you play the Shigi, do you really want to like clear one of your lives to clear my Basil? And sometimes they just end up just going face instead. And so I think that's what he does here actually. He decides to just think for a little bit, but he's like, no, like I really don't want to interact with this Hawkins, and so now I get Damn Punk off the top. I don't really need to pop this Ashigi. I don't think the bodies really matter that much, so I'm going to go ahead and just trigger it. And now I'm trying to decide what I'm going to discard. Am I going to play my Kikunojo next turn, or play Hawkins? But I ended up going ahead and deciding to pitch the 1-cost event, being that I want the Hawkins for my Law actually on my 7 on turn, because then I can filter out the rest of my hand for more counter and finding more Laws, or finding more healers. So I go ahead and decide to push the 1-cost event, I think. Because now I'm saying, okay, I'm going to play Kikunojo, which is another body that they really don't want to attack into. I don't have Kuma, so which would be a good out. We'll get a card on this turn. And so I say, okay. One thing I like with Zoro is that they're sometimes counter light, so I want to test them for 2Ks here. So I'm going to go ahead and swing 6 and see what he does. See if he actually 2Ks in hand. I know the deck plays like usually somewhere around 12 to 14, I believe. So he goes and picks a Shigi, which is fine. I'm not playing any Gazatsus in my list, so it's okay. I switch another 6. He decides to give it the blocking scenario, and I go and play Kiku, restand my Hawkins, threatening that, hey, I'm going to take a block to bring your life. And I'm kind of hoping this pressures him into summoning another Tapper. So now I feel okay. I kind of took too many life probably in the early game. I'd rather be not having to take a life. So the thing with the kid deck is that whenever you have a face-up life, you almost feel like you have to take another life, because there can be occasions where your opponent just might try and starve you from their perspective, and they'll just say, okay, well, I'll pass on no blockers. My opponent's 27. I'm deciding on whether I'll counter. I decide to go ahead and counter just to make sure I only take 1 life this turn. He's forcing the same scenario he was in last turn. He's like, do you trade over Hawkins? Or do you just decide to push fade? I think realistically I would trade over Hawkins though. I think losing your 1 life is fine. It's better than me continuously having this Hawkins to pressure you when you have a low amount of cards. Now the Hawkins is going to start getting a card every time, and I'm just going to keep restanding it to say, hey, do you have another body that's going to turn my Hawkins? And once you don't have that, then I think the Hawkins is going to get the value. So I go ahead and start with swing 5 on 1. He's leaving 1 Dawn, so I really don't want to swing like my Capone at like the Hiyori, and he goes like Paradise Waterfall, and he's able to trade back into restand his Karina to tap my Hawkins. So I really want, in my head I'm like, I really want to make this Hawkins a blocker at the end of my turn. So now what I'm going to go ahead and do is go ahead and let my Capone get in there on the Hiyori. I still want to make sure he doesn't do Paradise Waterfall for free. Now I'm okay if he does Paradise Waterfall. I don't really plan on going at the Chi at this point anymore. He ends up hitting Paradise Waterfall off his trigger. which is fine. I'm cool if he hits Basil Hawkins. I'm cool if he hits the Shees. Like, these cards are still getting good value, even if they get popped. It's not ideal, but you can't play around everything, so I'm totally okay with that. And then I go ahead and swing 6 to test him for a 2K again. And here is where I'm saying that I will go ahead and just resand my Basil Hawkins, I believe. Because right now I'm saying, okay, he needs 3 cards. If my Basil Hawkins can like take a block on this Tashigi swing, yeah, I put him through 2 life. I already have another law to heal again, so then now he'll probably trade. If he decides to trade over Kiku, then I get another life. Then if he tries to go, so then I'll be back at 3 life. I'll heal back to 4 life. So that's how my brain's kind of going about this game. Is like, okay, like I have a decent amount of time. I have 3 2K, so like even if he has like multiple events, like I'm not scared. He goes in and plays his Mihawk, which I'm like, okay, like Mihawk's pretty strong. It's one of the better cards coming out in OP12, and I'm just kind of thinking like, okay, is he really gonna start turning into this Kiku now? Because, which he probably has to, because now the Kiku will actually start getting lives, and it will start actually pressuring him to actually do something else. So he goes and trades over to Kiku. I'm like, okay, that's fine. Give me a life. I'm basically trading my Kiku to say it mine for a life and get a free card. So take my life, get Kid. So now I'm like, okay, I have Kid, which means I can just kind of play this game slightly slower, because now I know he's playing it, but he's at 1 life to me right now. So I can either decide to push with Law and go like swing like 9/9 or something of that nature, and just try and like push the damage through and then do that. But I am a black player at my core, so my mind says, okay, easiest way to win this game is to go ahead and clear the Mihawk, put it at the bottom, and then try and see if I can get 2 cards for this Tashigi. Because if I can get 2 cards for Tashigi, I'm putting him on 1 card, and then I can still trade 7 into Tashigi. I'm not really scared of dying. I have 4 2Ks in my hand. I think the only way I die is double stand event, but that means he would have to rip one out of the Hiyori. But it also means like he still let the Tashigi die, which like still fine. I'm okay if I end up taking like 2 life this turn, and then I'm just gonna go ahead and just restand, and I'm just gonna go ahead and let my Law be what it is. If he decides to dunk my Law, I'll take the trade for my Law for a damage and go about my business. So now I feel very comfortable. I have a lot of cards in my hand. He only has so many cards to play with. I'll now know like almost most of his cards that he's gonna be playing with the rest of the game. And from here, it's really just staying alive. I think it's one thing about the Zoro deck that's very interesting, and especially in this matchup where why you think the Kids deck kind of favors, because you can kind of run them out of resources. You have big bodies. The bodies that you care about are all mostly 7 costs or less. You don't really ever throw Kid out there, and when you do, you make Kid your blocker, and then you just make sure that like they can't double swing on Kid, or you can force them to line up into a double swing on Kid, but they can't like ever double swing on your tall bodies, which really matters at the end of the day. He goes ahead, he swings 9. I think he's telegraphing the event, so I'm gonna be like, okay, I'll go ahead and give you a 2K, and then if he events tries to swing again, I'll give him another 2K. He ends up restanding with his leader, and he decides to go ahead and just put 2. I don't, like I said, we're all still learning, so maybe the idea that maybe I would give it up is something he was looking at, but I decided to just go ahead and just give the 2K up. So now I'm in a good position. He didn't really establish anything this turn, so now it's just like, okay, I just have to kill him over the course of 2 turns at this point. So I don't really care about these Hioris. I'm gonna go ahead and push 8. I think he's linking up 1 for Dead Man's Game. So I'm gonna try and see if I can bait that out, because I don't know if I want to. At the time I was like, I'm not sure if I'm going to push the 7 and go for Kid, but it's like, no, like I don't lose this way, so just to play safe, take the 100% win, I'm gonna go ahead and just play Law here, play Law, and then put the Hawkins back on top of my life. And that's what I'm saying, like I think Hawkins is crazy in this deck, because you're always stacking it back, you're filtering your hand, and now I'm gonna go and just swing 8, just because either way, if he gives me 2/2 here, I'm kind of okay with that. And then I'm just gonna restand my other Law so you can't trade over it. And so now he could theoretically trade over Katakuri, but it's just not good enough. If he goes Mihawk, I already have the kid lined up, and that's lethal already. There's just not a lot of options for him to do. So all he can really do is just, that's kind of the game. I think it's kind of how the kid deck plays. He just really, in the early games, just tries to get a couple cards. My usually rule of thought is, okay, I'm going to take my first 2 lives typically. I think just to kind of get cards in your hand. I think Law uses a lot of cards. Your Kuma can run you down on cards a little bit, so I always just give up the first 2 lives usually. Also, I like to not flip my ability on the first couple, mostly because I'm still working on the gameplay of it, but I have a fear of like getting starved in a sense where like once you flip your life, your opponent says, okay, I don't really need to swing at you anymore because you effectively just turned your leader off for a decent portion of the game right now, and so they're going to choose to do something else, and that's that game. And here we're going to go to the Rayleigh game next. So here in the Rayleigh game, I think I decided to keep this hand. I looked at it for a little bit. It has the heals, has pops. I'm on second, and I really would want a different Kerr. I think Dampunk, I was just kind of like, okay, I think Dampunk is good enough for me to have on my Fordon to do something. But I think my hand could have been, I think I should have mulliganed. I think, yes, Kuma and yes, Law are very important in this matchup, but having a Hawkins or a Kikunojo on your Fordon turn to continue to challenge the board is really important. You kind of just want to find everything else. So I go ahead and just Dampunk this away. I just want to stay beat pressure in my mind when I'm playing this deck. If I don't Dampunk the Boa, he's gonna go 5, possibly like Boa swing 6 or 7. Because way can go Luffy, give it to Boa, that's 4. Dawn 5. He can go 7/7 next turn. That's not something I really want to deal with, so I'll just go ahead and spin the Dampunk on this. So now I'm already seeing in my head. I'm like, okay, I have Kuma, that's a life. I have a Law, that's another life. I really would want something different to put on top of my life with Law right now. So kind of hoping to hit Hawkins at some point so I can filter, because I have a decent amount of non-counter right now. But game is kind of going slow. I think he ends up getting another Luffy off of this Boa, which is actually kind of scary, because now I'm like, okay, like the first Luffy, I don't play a dodge, so it's just not getting dealt with. Like it's actually gets to swing, and then there's gonna be another Luffy coming down with with another minion more than likely, and hopefully it's like one of the searcher bodies, because if it's Sanji or anything of that nature, then we're just going to be in for a rough time. So he goes ahead, he plays the 0 cost event. He gets Conqueror's Hockey, the counter power reducer. And I'm going to go ahead and take, like I said, I'm not going to give up 2 cards. I'm going to just take the life. And so now, get Robin. I don't think you need Robin right now. I think usually in this type of matchup, Robin's good in that she doesn't have to come down on 6 in this matchup, because I know next turn he's going to swing with his board. I'm going to want to trade back on his board. So there's actually a point where like you can get Robin down, knowing that he's going to be at 3 life for probably like 2 turns. And then maybe on my 10 Dawn turn, I may want to go like Robin, do something to try and get like good swings in and then push down life. But he goes Luffy. Luckily he plays a searcher, which means it's like, okay, it means he doesn't have any of like he doesn't have Sanji, doesn't have another Boa. He grabs Mulgun, so I'm like, okay, Mulgun means that if I don't give up my Capone this turn, then it's gonna die next turn more than likely. And maybe if I give up my Capone this turn, and if I force him to Mulgun my Kuma because there's too much pressure coming at him, then like I'll still gain another life. And so I don't know what's correct on his end or not, but that's how I'm thinking about my turn. So I'm like, okay, 3 swings are coming at me this turn. He's gonna proc the Boa, so it looks like I have to guard the Boa swing, because it's probably gonna be a smaller swing this turn. It ends up being a 6k, so I say, okay, I'm gonna go ahead and give you the 2k here, because a small swing, because now he can go like 7 with his lead, Boa swing 8 with Luffy, and then, or put the 2 down under Luffy, swing 8, and then now I'm kind of in a predicament where I don't really want to take both. So and he can still leave up one Dawn for Conqueror's Hockey, and that card kind of challenges, makes the game, makes it kind of awkward for me, mostly because now trading over Luffy becomes kind of awkward. But he decides to go ahead and just push 9. I think for me, I think knowing that he's Conqueror's Hockey, I would have just pushed 8. I think either way, you'll end up getting the block. The life doesn't actually like matter that much at this point in time. But if you leave it with Dawn, it makes it really awkward for me on my end to try and trade back into your Luffy's. But like I said, we're all learning. It's all a learning phase. I understand we still don't know the ban list, but this is kind of like why I kind of like the Yellow Kid deck, is because I think these two matchups, which are going to be prevalent, given the fact that maybe blue purple Luffy and green purple Luffy aren't as strong, then like the Rayleigh deck and the Zoro deck should in theory take off. But you know, you never know how the meta shifts up. So now I'm here and I'm like, okay, I can either play Luffy, look for Hawkins. If I find Hawkins, then I get like a good card to put in my life. But then now you have to go face, because swinging 6 at 7 or 7 at 6 and 6 at 6 isn't good enough value in my opinion. I think against Rayleigh, you just want to like, they have so many cards that function as 2Ks, you want to like make them use them. And so I'm like, okay, let me see if I can like, this is one of the things, I guess one of the tips that maybe I'll do a tips and tricks video later on, but I think this is one of the important aspects where not to telegraph. And so I know my options, I know I'm playing Law this turn, like no matter what. So right now I'm just thinking, how do I swing 8 at Luffy, or do I swing summon Law? And so I'm like, okay, I'll swing 8 at Luffy, see if he gives it to me for free, thinking that, oh well, he may play Law, he may give up $3, swing another 8, and then play something else. And those are all options. Obviously, like, Law is the strongest option that I could have, but those are just options. And so he goes in and pitches 2 and a 1, and I still want to get more cards. And this is another, and so I think the last turn I revealed Luffy as my top card I don't think he knows. So I think I go ahead and just swing 6 here. I could have pushed a 6 face. Like I said, there's 2Ks, but they're all kind of the same. So now I'm interpreting this as a mulligan turn. So one thing I have to watch out for is that his whole game plan on this turn is to try and force my Law to turn. Because if my Law can turn before his last swing, then he's able to mulligan my Law, trade into Law. And so I think his whole idea this turn is, alright, I'm going to do a whole bunch of small swings. Hopefully I can get a bait on the block, and then trade over Law instead of having to trade over Kuma. And so my game plan is to say, no, you're going to trade over Kuma. Like, you are going to pop Kuma. If the Kuma's going to stick, I'm going to apply pressure next turn, probably clear your whole board, still play another Kuma, and now you probably lose the game on the spot. So here, I'm just going to give up counter power. Going to just give him the Robin. She could have came up the next turn, but right now it's just more important for me to make sure I only take 2 life this turn. I think I've seen so far that he has like double 0 cost event. So that's how I'm kind of looking at it. And so I think I go ahead and pitch my last, or take, to make sure that I have my ability next turn. And now I'm saying, okay, you have 4 Dawn. You got Dawn up 4, swing 10, or are you going to play your mulligan that I know you have, get my Kuma, and basically you're kind of stunned for a turn, because now my Law is checking your Luffy from swinging. He pops, I get a life. I'm saying, okay, I have time. I go ahead and play this thinking, well, Law's like still better than Kuma. I whiff. Unfortunate, it happens. It's just part of the game. So okay, well, now I'm pretty sure I know I'm playing Kuma, which also means I'm going low on cards though. So I'm like, okay, I have to basically end the game in like 2 turns. But I don't want to swing 6. Like I said, I want good numbers for this deck. I want to put pressure. I think if I can give him 1 life here and play Kuma, then that's enough. So I go ahead and swing 7, swing 9, keep putting pressure, play Kuma. They don't play blockers, so I kind of pitch the X-Drake. I think I should have kept the X-Drake still, because you never know. This is just a better card than the Law being in my hand at the end of the day. And now I have 5 life blocker. Kid in my hand, and it's up to him to identify a way not to die. I think not dying probably takes a lot of their actual counter event. I go ahead and just take the first law, or take this law, because just to make sure I have counter power. Having 2 2-Ks in my hand, I feel really safe, and so now it's just like, hey, he decides to go ahead and mulligan my law. I think just to make sure that like I don't get any free blocks in. So he swings 5. I think I go ahead and counter, just to not be too greedy. 6, go ahead and take. I think there's not no swings left, or they're all base. Okay, we're going to counter, and then from here, I think I just take all the hits. I think he decides to swing out. I think I could have took the first hit, and then I know he doesn't have no swings anymore. There's only 2 swings, and in particular, it's just 1 more swing and a blocker. So I'll go ahead and take the extra potty, because I think I need it to kill him. Through the 0 cost events, because he hasn't used any Dawn, so there's a world he just leaves up like 3 Dawn, and I have to like do math through those. He doesn't play Buggy. I guess he's still looking for them. He ends up whiffing, which is unfortunate. And then from here, I go Captain Kid, and from here, it's another like I guess tip thing that I kind of thought of on the fly when I was doing this. So I think with the 0 cost event, I think you either have to swing like base 8 or a 5 or a 6K. I think because right here when I swing 5, he can't. In theory, if he has it, it's just like a bad spin, because now he's spending 3K to block this. He's not getting really a good value on that, and then I'm still going to be able to don out my law to get the extra another 5K to test for the other 0 cost event. So now he's lost 2. It should be perfect math from here. And so, but if I swing 7, I think there's a way that I could lose, because I'm not sure, but I think there's a way that like the math could work out, but I'll have to do it later. Swing 5, test for another 0 cost event. Go ahead and swing the 8, because he still has the Dawn up, just to test to make sure that it's not that event again. I just don't want him to have a free event. I want everything to be 2 cards, and at this point, you leave him with Dawn, this should be 2 cards. Boom, boom, and then Kuma for the last swing. And yeah, that's the Rayleigh matchup. So just going to go back to the deck. So yeah, that's kind of how the games went. Like I said, I think this is like one of the decks I'm kind of looking at for the US Bandai Fest, along with I'm a Teach player at heart, so we'll see how that where Teach kind of lines up after the ban list. But this is a deck that I really do think like you can look at pre-ban list. You can test it against Zoro. You can test it against Rayleigh. You can test against all the decks that we don't really expect to get touched innately, and then kind of see how that kind of goes. I think some of the hard matchups actually are Lucci and Teach, but I think there is a chance that with Kuma, with Kiku, with Basil, with these new additions and with Robin, I think there is a chance that like those matchups are winnable, and then we got to see where those decks line up with the meta too. But one, just want to say, hey, thank you for watching the video. Glad to be back. Kind of things I'm looking forward to is really trying to test for nationals. Hopefully I can take y'all on the journey with that through me sitting down and testing. And just want to say thanks for being with me. And on to the next video. Next video will probably be a Teach vid, so hey, be prepared. Thank you. Peace.